let me fix my shirt. It's a little too big, that's why. But I'm gonna fix it, hold on. So as you can tell by my title, we are going to be talking about slavery, the modern day slavery, because we are in the present moment, in present time, and it is going on as we speak. Well, as I speak anyway. So first of all, I want to say, well, first off, I'm going to be eating this bagel while I'm talking, so just know that. We are in slavery still as people of color, and not only people of color, people of poverty, people of lower class, working class, you know, all the minorities, but specifically people of color. We have been subconsciously trained to think less of ourselves, to think less of our people. That is why in history class they never taught us about African royalty. They never taught us the before of black people being slaves. What were black people before we came into slavery, before we got stolen, before our ancestors were moved from their traditions, from their culture, into a place that right now is in so much debt. And guess who's working in the country that is full of so much debt that, you know, who's working? Who's working? It's a very complex thing to talk about. So I'm going to keep it short and simple and sweet and talk about the mentalities that were placed into our heads, into our minds, into our subconscious. And our subconscious minds is the mind of us that we don't pay attention to until we start to meditate, until we start to quiet our surroundings in our mind and listen and connect. So, you know how black people treat their kids a certain way. People of color, people of different heritage than European, because white is not white. Stop calling them white. Same way they call us black, but they specifically don't call us black. We're African American. They're European Americans. Even though then it's like, well, American. This was native land, which natives are kind of, you know, colorful, you know. They're not white. They're not pale. Authentically, they're not. That is why if you get your DNA tested, I know I'm probably going off a little bit. Hold on. If you get your DNA tested being a black person, but an American, you were born in America, your family can go back and get tracked in America, you're not going to be pure black. No matter how dark your skin is, you're not going to be pure African, pure, you know, overseas. You're not going to be, rather that be European or anything. You're not pure of one race because of the slave trade, because of, you know, what they did to our people, to our ancestors. But that all goes to show also how we are one nation under God, and we are technically the same race, the human race. We're the same race. But what I was trying to say was the animalistic traits that were embedded into our subconsciousness are things like our parents beating us, our parents using physical abuse to discipline their kids instead of using words to give knowledge to their kids. And some mother or some father out there, they don't listen. Da, da, da. Did you teach them how to listen? Did you teach them? Discipline isn't to abuse them. They learned this from slavery. They were abused and beaten during slavery. So it trickled down, transgenerational trauma. Parents beat their kids to teach them a lesson, to get their point across, which it's never a point, because the things that they beat them for are things, like I'm saying, could be talked through. Teach them. Teach them. Why do you think in slavery they didn't want the black people to learn how to read? They didn't want to teach them. Because when you teach them, their mind becomes better, their soul and their spirit becomes better, and they get what we, they know. Just the simple fact that knowledge is power, and that everyone knows that, everyone should know that. But there was a reason why they didn't want to teach the slaves how to read. They didn't want them to go to school. There was a reason for all of that. And the same animalistic traits of beating kids, abusing kids, belittling them. When I was a young child, you see my skin color. When I was younger, I believe I was a little bit darker than what I am now. Because when I look at my skin color, and when I look in the mirror, and when I look at videos of myself when I'm posting on social media and all that kind of stuff, no filters and anything, I don't remember my skin being this color when I was younger. I really don't. I don't have any pictures like that to look and see if maybe I'm tripping or not, but I believe I was darker when I was younger. And I was an introverted kid. My head was always in the clouds. I'm an Aquarius, like the wind. Boom. But when it came time for people to talk to me and for me to express myself and for people to be like, oh, what do you want to be when you grow up? Or what are your aspirations in life? What are your goals in life and stuff? And when I would finally speak and stuff, I would have big things that I thought I was going to be, that I thought I could be. Oh, I want to be a billionaire. I'm going to be a billionaire. I'm going to be probably a lawyer, or maybe a marine biologist, or maybe a singer at actors, or a judge. I still have those dreams. But I would say all of these things and I would have many of them that were like big, high profile things. And people would look at me and be like, that's not really obtainable, for a person like you. And at first I didn't know nothing about what that means. I remember it was in junior high. I was like, oh, I want to go to Duke. I want to go to Duke University. That's my dream college. And he was like, who was he again? He was like, he wasn't my dean, I don't think. But he was like either the principal or the dean or something like that at junior high. And he was basically telling me like, well, statistically, that's not obtainable for you, basically. That's literally what he said. And, that made me so mad because of hearing that so long in my life. I was old enough now to decipher exactly what they were meaning by that. And they meant a person like me, a black person, because they deem us so stupid and retarded and unworthy that they don't think that we're capable of achieving great things. So when they would see a 7-year-old saying she's going to be a lawyer, a black 7-year-old girl, she's going to be a lawyer. And I think when I was 7, what I said was, I want to be a lawyer in New York. Because at that time, what I saw on TV and what was going on, New York was a hot spot for crime and detectives and all that kind of stuff. All of the shows, they were based mainly in New York. So I was like, oh, I'm going to be a lawyer in New York. I'm going to be a judge in New York, or a detective, a forensic scientist, or something like that. And they would look at me and they would give me like the weirdest energy. Ever since I was little, I was very prone to energies. I was very prone to knowing the energy. And you could say that's an animalistic trait that was embedded in my subconscious through my DNA. Because think about it. When the slaves were slaves, they couldn't eat what they wanted to eat. They couldn't do the things they wanted to do. And if certain people were around, they couldn't be themselves. They were treated like animals, like objects, when they were merely humans with feelings, emotions, goals, all the normal things a human has. But evil people, which is so crazy to me today to think of the evil people convincing the whole nation that they were good people and that they were worthy of so much more because they did evil things. No one put together the two pieces of these people were evil. Even now, I think about the Salem witch trials. How did that happen? How did society let these evil people do the evil things that they did? You're going to tell the whole world that these women, these people who claim to have, you know, great mind power, because that's all that it is. It's amazing mind power. They were evil, and they needed to be killed, and they needed to be decapitated, and all of these things. How did they convince people that those people were the bad guys? You're killing humans because of their ability to have more power than you, their ability to have more acknowledgement of life than you. If black people were so ignorant and stupid and unworthy, why would they even be sought after? That's like in school. You're the quiet kid, and for some reason, people always bully you. People always have something to say. They always want to mess with you and pick on you, but you're literally quiet. You stay to yourself. You don't bother anybody, but for some reason, that pure energy agitates the spirits, the evil spirits of those people that are messing with you. That's how my childhood went. Stay to myself. Head in the clouds. Like I said, I was always thinking. All my life I had visions and thoughts of my future, of all the great things that I was going to be able to accomplish. And like I said, when it came time to talk about those things, people looked at me like I was very stupid. Little did they know I was very smart. You never know, the quiet kids have so much talent. They have so much wisdom. And when I would open up about these things to certain individuals, certain adults at the schools and programs and stuff, it would be certain ones that would be like, don't worry, because they're going to regret how they did you. You have an old soul. They would really talk to me and connect with me, and I would talk to them, and we would have deep conversations, me being at elementary school, talking about things that adults can't even wrap their mind around. They would say to me, you have an old soul. You're going to be great in life. They're not going to be friends with you now, but they're going to wish they were friends with you in the future. And you're going to understand why it was very, very strategic that they didn't even get a chance to sit at your table. Because the table that you're going to build is so much better. It's so much higher than what any of them were capable of thinking about. They taught us that we were less than what we are. They have a government. We have kings and queens. Go look in Africa. Go look in Egypt. Go look all over the countries, all the other countries, the continents. By the way, Africa is a continent. It's a continent. It's big. But it's crazy because what I mean when I say our subconscious minds, which is the things we don't think about, they're just what people taught us, what we came up learning, what we learned from, what people taught us at an early age, and now we have to unteach ourselves. We've been trained to hate each other. We've been trained to look at our Jewish and Muslim sisters and brothers as weirdos. When we see someone wearing a hijab, we think of them as a weirdo. When we see someone coming on a plane looking like, a Muslim, we all of a sudden, nothing in our lives ever happened to us to make us think this. But for some reason, when you see this, all of a sudden, they're a terrorist, they're da-da-da-da. First of all, the people who run this country, not specifically the people who run this country right now, because it's been decades and years and centuries since everything started, but the system that is our system, our higher system, kind of. They're the terrorists. They were the terrorists. They stole our ancestors from their homes to bring them here to be slaves and work and build things for them. I just putting it into perspective. They embedded in our mothers to hate their daughters and love their sons and let their sons get away with everything. They embedded in our fathers to hate their kids and never be around their kids. They embedded in our parents in general that they were not going to be a part of our lives once we hit a certain age, that they had no responsibility to us once we hit a certain age. That's an animalistic type of way to think about it. They taught our parents that there was no such thing as grandparents, basically. There was no such thing as great grandparents. There was no such thing as family business to hand down. There was no such thing as all of these systems, these great things. They taught our parents that that was not a thing for them. What they embedded in our parents was so much trauma, so much anger, so much hatred. And they taught our parents that, oh, when we get old enough to have our own voice and to be our own people, that is defiance. That is them trying to be grown. That is such a bad thing that they don't. Who are they to think that they are someone? Who are they to think that they are better than what they have had? Who are they to think that they deserve more? They embedded in our parents to settle for bare minimum. They embedded in our parents to be slaves to a system that doesn't even care about them. Because when you die of stress, of heartache, have a stroke, a heart attack, and you can no longer do that job that you've been doing for all of this time, they're going to just replace you. They're going to put out an ad and get a new candidate and hire someone new to do it all over again. No, they're not teaching you. Oh, same way you work for this business. This is just like college, just like school. This is a playing field, a playing ground for you to learn and to build something like this yourself. So that you can hand down a legacy to your family. Because God forbid you die and you have kids who aren't old enough to even fend for themselves yet. Or if they seem old enough, they're not mentally ready to fend for themselves. Throw them out into the world that hates them already and just tell them to go with the flow. It'd be perfectly fine going with the flow if anyone taught them from a young age the significance and the power of going with the flow and how to overcome going with the flow. But they never were taught this. These are the things we weren't taught. We weren't taught to learn how to cope with our emotions. We didn't get taught how to take a break and to rest and to heal ourselves and let things go so that our souls weren't weighed down and our spirits would lighten up. Our spirit is not going to float if it's not light. If there's so many things, so many earthly things holding our spirit down, it's not going to float. They didn't teach us the significance of the fact that heaven and hell is on earth. Heaven and hell is the depiction of how you live your life. Are you going through life angry, hurt, betrayed, failing, all the negative things, all of the things that keep you up at night, that scare you, that give you nightmares, skeletons in the closet, worrying, living like an animal? Or maybe not even like an animal, because animals are they're outside, they're free. Unless they're in the zoo. They stole them too. And made them work. Oh, we're going to go watch the dolphins do the training things. That dolphin wants to be out in the ocean with its friends and its family. Not in an arena playing poo-pop with a ball and a trainer. They're never going to teach us this. Because the same way they didn't teach the slaves how to read, some slaves just learned how to read on their own, or they found a very kind, caring person to teach them. Because obviously I know how to read, you know how to read. But still in the black communities, the reading levels are lower. The reading levels are lower. All of the athletes that were recruited into the NFL, the NBA, all those kind of things, a lot of them didn't have the credentials. You know how if you go to college or whatever and you be a player, a team player, a sports person, even in high school actually, you have to have a certain GPA. You have to have certain grades. You have to keep your schoolwork up or you can't play on a team. We all know how that goes. We all should know how that really went, especially if you went to high school and you saw how things happen with the high school kids. It's literally the same thing, just with older people. They didn't teach us how to cope with trauma at all. But why would they teach us these things? Because these things give us power. These things give us power over the normal system of life that they have created for us. These things give you that I don't give a F mentality. Not in a bad way, but in a positive way. That if I don't get this job, if I don't do this, it's going to be okay. It's going to be okay. Because while heaven and hell is on earth, to have heaven on earth, to live in the depiction of being happy, being content, being abundant, being resourceful, having connects, never letting anything get you down to a place where you feel like you have nowhere to go, to a place where you feel like you have nothing to do or you have no reason to be here. If you ever in your life was depressed and ever in your life thought to yourself, it doesn't matter if you tried it, it doesn't matter if you said it out loud, but if you thought it to yourself that, you know, you would rather die. You would rather die. I'm not gonna lie. Like I'm advocating for this so hard. I was so depressed. All of my childhood, most of my childhood, all of my teenage years, until I learned. Until God came and saved me and opened his arms to me. Until Jesus showed himself to me. Not him. I'm not going to say him because that makes it seem like such a... Because I don't mean it in a religious way. I really don't. I really don't mean it in a specific religious type of way. And I don't mean it to be personified the way that it is. So I won't say he. And I'm going to not say the names either. Because that's, I think, where we get it mixed up. That's where the things happen to deter people from it. It's all within ourselves. It's all within ourselves. It's all our minds. It's all our willpower. It's our strength, our wisdom, our knowledge, our humility. It's having the mindset to know that you don't have to settle for anything that you're not comfortable with. You don't have to settle for things that make you sad or unhappy. You don't have to settle for things that make you stressed out. If that job isn't right for you, go get another one. Go do a different one. Go to a job that isn't going to feel like a job for you. If it feels like you're slaving, if it feels like it's not worth it, it's not for you. And if you're not looking at it like a playing field, a battlefield of, let me learn the things that I'm going to learn so that I can create something for my family, because obviously, why is somebody's fire alarm going off that loud? Why I just do that? Now I just lost my train of thought. Anyway, we want to pass down legacies to our family. And it's not all about money, because when you think about, getting a business or passing something down to your family or whatever, you think about the currency, you think about specific money. We're passing down knowledge, wisdom. We're passing down good traits, We're passing down stability, security, protection. We're passing down happiness. Which, when you get all of those things, it could show up in the form of a currency, obviously. So the saying, money isn't going to make you happy, is true. But being happy is going to make you money. So the money isn't going to make you truly happy. But you being happy is going to help you make the money. It's going to help you make the currency. It's going to help you make the foundation, the stability, the security, all of that kind of stuff. All of the fundamental things of life. Which isn't what they taught us it was. It wasn't that. And maybe all this time the language is what made it seem what it wasn't, because our language is so complex. English is the hardest language to learn out of all of the things. When they try to learn our language, it's hard for them because our language isn't consistent. And obviously Spanish is one of like the easiest ones, basically. Because their language is consistent. A, E, I, O, U. That's their vowels. Our vowels is all over the place because it could be A, I. Our vowels are all over the place. But this isn't English class, so I'm not going to teach y'all about English and all that kind of stuff. But pretty much what I'm saying is we have to unlearn our animalistic ways. Black people killing all our team members because in the black community there's so much beef. It's so much beef. We got to go kill other people. That is not right. Murder is not okay. Anything of too much conflict is not okay. You are living in hell and you're creating hell on earth. That is the hell. If you can't talk it out, if you can't cut people off, if you can't move around for your sake and your peace, your family's lineage and well-being, if you can't do that, the system beat you. The system beat you. You do not have to stay anywhere that you don't feel welcome. You just have to have the strength enough to pick up your stuff and leave. You know, sometimes it's not even the pick up your stuff part. It's just you. If you're not good within yourself and you can't just be by yourself, just you, no attachments to the earthly things, you're not ready to die. And the inevitable thing is the fact that we are all going to die. We are going to have that first death. And if you're going to eternal hell and you're being desecrated like that, you're going to have a second death. Because after the first death, you can have eternal life. The system beat the system. Beat the system. Heal from trauma. Heal your family lineage. Think about your family lineage. That's how you first heal it. Last night I came to a really good epiphany for me and my family. Well, my mom's side of the family. Because now when I think of family, I always think of the family that I grew up around, the family that I already know. I got a whole other side of a family that I have no idea what I even inherited from them. Because I don't know them. But I know from my mom's side of the family, to all of my first cousins, y'all think in y'all heads, our parents lost their mother. And some of them at a really young age. My mom was the second youngest. Then the youngest, she lost her mom at a very young age. And then there were 7 older ones, but regardless, they lost their mom. And if you have your mom still, just think about if you lost your mom. And to my cousins, the ones who already lost their mom, think about how it felt and how your life changed because you lost your mom. They lost their mom. And like I said, we all know how black families are conditioned to be. The fathers are never there. They're never active in the lives of their family. They taught them that family wasn't nothing for them to be worried about. We have to take into consideration the trauma that is embedded in our DNA, because that's one of the steps of healing. You have to really dig down deep. You gotta let the outside world be the outside world while you get yourself together. While you get yourself together, you're creating a better atmosphere for the rest of the world. You're creating a better lineage for your family. You're paving the way for your spirit, your soul, to gain eternal life in God's kingdom. You won't be stuck. You won't be stagnant. You won't be fearful. You'll be content and graceful. You won't have any worries. You won't have anything to be scared of. You'll be at peace. And that's all I want to preach. I want to preach for us to change, and I want to preach for us to wake up and open our eyes to what they want. And who is they? We say they, we say it, and we say he, and really those words aren't the right ones. We don't know what the right ones are, but those aren't the right ones per se. The odds are always going to be stacked against us if we don't get our power back. And we can't get our power back without building a foundation. And we can't build a foundation without everybody being healed and open-minded and graceful and wise. We can't kill our teammates. We can't kill our teammates, because then they're going to win. They're definitely going to win if we don't have a team. If their team is bigger than ours, more than likely we're going to lose. And if we lose, I don't want to go through that. I don't want to go through that. Y'all shouldn't want to go through that. God have mercy on our souls, please. Please, God have mercy on our souls. Y'all be safe out there. That's all I'm gonna say. Be safe. Think before you act. It's important, especially at this time when the odds are always going to be stacked against us. And at this moment anyway. At this moment, they are. If we do good and we do right, we're going to win. We have the potential to win until we don't.